And we go with item number 12. You're back up for CARES funding.
All right. When I was going to school to learn to make water flow downhill, it never had anything to do with CARES or housing, just to let you know. But I appreciate the patience.
It's all good. Doing a good job, though.
Yep.
Yeah, number 12.
Okay, so so the item before you is in regards to the COVID-19 CARES Act funding expenditures. And so background, as we live through this in real time, March 4th, 2020, Governor Newsom proclaimed a state of emergency as a result of the threat of COVID-19. March 24th, 2020, City of Yuba City declared the COVID-19 outbreak a local emergency. The federal Coronavirus Aid, Relief, and Economic Security CARES Act was approved by the federal government, and it allocated funds in the amount of $869,954 to the City of Yuba City for public health and safety responses to COVID-19. July 7th, 2020, City Council authorized the city manager to sign and submit necessary documentation to secure this funding. So total funding, $869,954, approximately $900,000 with no local match required. The funding may be specifically utilized for non-budgeted COVID-19 related expenses between March 30th and December 30th, 2020. Funding is to be received in 6 equal installments. So the federal government has given it to the state of California, and then through the state of California, funneled to the city. And so through that, they're breaking that up into 6 equal payments. And with some reporting and some guidance regarding when we need to have a reporting plan in place by September, and then in October, basically they want to see that expenditure deadline being met or have a extension if the city's not spending that money, or if we've contracted to spend that money, it's not spent yet. But the money, it's to recover any expenses that were spent during that time frame for COVID-19 related expenses. So eligible activities, staffing needs, public safety, staff payroll, telework infrastructure, part-time staff to handle COVID-19 efforts. These are just some bullet points that have come up when we go through these of what are COVID-19 related expenses that qualify. Public services, outreach efforts, community grants, loans, materials and supplies, personal protective equipment, decontamination equipment, such as foggers, and then also maybe the germ shields and their different masks and equipment that the city's purchased, and facility improvements and modifications. So anything specifically related to COVID-19. So some ideas that came through from fire department were COVID-19 decontamination buildings, where it basically provided an area where they could take off their equipment, house it, and then clean it and provide storage for that equipment. Germ shields for social distancing at public facilities. So really straightforward. So the item before you tonight is really, it's a logistical recommendation. It's an act by council that's basically going to amend the fiscal budget for that money. And then it's going to authorize the finance director to make the supplemental appropriation related transfers into the appropriate account for the CARE Act funding. With this one, again, there's this, we're getting the money without a real opportunity to how we want to prioritize it. So staff's looking if there's any certain amount of money that we want to allocate towards outreach or public services. But I want to highlight that, so with this, I want to highlight that with this money, there's $900,000. Public safety is, public safety basically, it costs approximately $1.7 million every pay period. So every 2 weeks, plus or minus, we're spending $1 million plus money on fully eligible recoverable costs. And so Spencer Morrison's here. He could definitely go into the weeds as our finance director on some of the eligible costs. But with this money having a lot of strings with the timeline and the accounting on it, that there has to be audit on it, there's definitely this easily accountable reimbursement that the city can make for the expense of staff time and employees, with us spending over $1 million per pay period and only in receiving 900,000. And so, and then that would, if you brought it in that through that mechanism, as the city's proposing, as staff's proposing, then we would basically fully recover all of those funds. And so with that, Mr. Morrison's here to help answer any specific questions regarding this funding source and some of the requirements, and I'd be happy to provide any answers to questions.
Any public comment on the item?
None received.
All right. Any other comments? I believe, let's see here. We're not here tonight to specify where the money is to go. Is that correct, Ben?
So with this funding source and definitely the timeline, and then with literally we just got the information that staff was fully reimbursable late last week, as far as that being a qualifying cost, that there was the item in the staff report regarding direction to approve, because originally we were looking for ways to spend the 900,000. Then late last week, it came to us that basically said, hey, your qualifying experience is to bring that all in. And so our recommendation would be to bring it all in under the COVID-19, the emergency personnel response, so that there's a clear auditing track for that. And then then later on, if council has a priority for some sort of other use, such as outreach or community grants, then they would have the flexibility through the budget, since all of that money's been recovered.
All right, that makes sense. Thank you. No public comment on the item. Any comment from council? If not, we can move forward. Who would ever care to do so?
I move to amend the fiscal year 2021 budget to reflect Federal CARES Act, sections A, B, and C.
Second.
What's C? I only have an A and B.
Provide staff direction, priority allocation, and funding. We just did.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm just going by what they give me here.
I'm sorry.
No
A and
worries.
B.
It's-
A and B, gentlemen.
All right.
C, I threw you off. That was a joke.
Okay. Any other comments? We have a second?
Second.
All right. First and second to approve staff's recommendation A, B, and B.
Correct.
All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
And opposed? None. Thank you very much, Ben. Appreciate it. It's a nice chunk of change there.